Innovation creates wealth, and the innovation we've seen in our time, in our lifetime, has been this amazing expansion of knowledge being available to large numbers of people, which has created what some people call the knowledge economy, but I'm coming to think of as the discovery economy, because I see my clients come to me with some fact or relationship or concept that they found in one area of our society, one area of human endeavor, and they reapply it somewhere else. And that's the most, generally speaking, the greatest field of success in innovation is where you find something that works elsewhere, has been proven out, has been tried. One example of that is, have you all heard about the surgeon who wrote the book about checklists? He went in to see how do you reduce medical malpractice actions, or medical malpractice. And of course, he got the checklist idea from airplane pilots, right? The story about that is you go to get on an airplane and you see the pilot going through a checklist. Did you say, "You've been doing this for 40 years. What do you need a checklist for?" And he replies, "It's because I've been doing it for 40 years. I've learned that the checklist is what saves lives." So he takes a simple idea like that and applies it across the board, and that's where you get, in general, lots of benefit from repurposing information. As I work with ideas, I tend to think that ideas have three major qualities. One is they're enabling, second is they can be artistic, and third, they can be spiritual or inspiring. For example, enabling ideas would take me back to the first knowledge economy, which would be hunter-gatherers. These are people who 50,000 years ago crossed over from Ethiopia into the Middle East, and we look at their garbage pits. I didn't look at them, but there are people who look at them. And they find, for example, 500 vegetables that are in the pit. They determined, the experts determined that 450 of these vegetables can be eaten without any further step, eaten raw. Maybe 30 have to be cooked, or one simple one-step process, and they're edible. The other 20 vegetables may have been used as dyes or some unknown use, maybe just as for ceremonial purposes. But what's amazing about that is these people went into a heavily grown jungle, and out of hundreds of thousands of plants, they had distilled the knowledge of what are the 500 plants that we can sustain our tribe with. So the communication of that information must have been across generations. And I wonder if that communication isn't what determined the importance of human intelligence, because you had to be able to explain sometimes from elder to child about a plant that wasn't present. You had to explain where and how and when to get it, when to cook it, or how to consume it, how to gather it. That information may have made the difference of survival of a small group during the tough times. So that's an example to me of enabling information. Now, when we move on from enabling to artistic information, to me, ideas, the artistic quality of ideas is the concept, the aspect of ideas that make life beautiful, more pleasurable, more endurable. And for example, Apple's caught on to that. They're making these devices that are not merely functional, not merely enabling, but they're beautiful to use. It's a much more positive experience. When I think of the expansion of enabling knowledge and ideas in our lifetime, I'm looking for the next wave of the artistic ideas that are coming upon us. For example, I will refer to in history, if we look at Hobart and Goya, they took lithography, which was then a new technology, and they turned it from merely a way of reproducing images into a powerful way to express cultural and societal norms or conditions. Then you look at Matthew Brady in the Civil War. He took photography, which had been a very technical, very difficult process, and he turned it into something that transformed the way people saw what was going on around them with his sad Civil War battlefield photography. Or D.W. Griffith, who created most of what we know about the film art, of the long shot, the close-up, the medium shot. We haven't seen that yet in information technology. We haven't seen people take these incredibly powerful tools that are now available to everyone and do amazing things yet. And I think that's going to happen. On the third level, and I think it'll happen in our lifetime, I think we'll see some really amazing innovations in that area. The third level of ideas being wisdom, where people come forward and give us ideas that help us give meaning to our lives. I want to just make a couple quotations here, refer to people who've meant a lot to me in my readings. One is Joseph Campbell, who's written a lot about mythology, and his saying, one of his powerful pieces of information is, he said that he thinks that people are really seeking the experience of being alive, and that's what drives us most. That's what gets us out of the bed in the morning. A fellow named James Hillman, he was a Jungian, head of the Jungian Institute in Zurich. He came to the conclusion that contribution is the meaning of life. There was a poet who, by the way, was Bohemian Austrian, so maybe there should be a photo of him here. Rainier Maria Rilke, who felt that each of us had an inner drive to be a better person, and he wrote about that in much of his poetry. My favorite was a poem he wrote called Archaic Torso of Apollo. Rilke was not a very robust person. He died young, I think, at 51 of leukemia. When Rilke went to the Louvre, he was struck by a torso of Apollo that he saw that was headless and limbless, but the beauty of what was left was such that it moved him to say that to express that real art is so powerful, it touches that part of you that wants to be a better person. And the last two lines of this poem were, which is called Archaic Torso of Apollo: "For there is no place that does not see you. You must change your life." The real art calls us forth. This is me. My interpretation is the powerful art calls you forth to live up to that desire to be a better person. And that's what I hope we will be seeing in our lifetime from all this technology at the moment is just allowing us to buy things cheaper off of Amazon. Thank you.